Compliments of the season to you all, and you're welcome to a special edition of Hot Seats on Ogun State Television, OGTV People's Tele. Well, of course, you are used to watching this program on Mondays, but it's a special one. This morning, for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes, we'll be having an interview with, call him presidential spokesman, call him media aide to the president, but officially special advisor to the president on media and publicity. And I'm talking about Mr. Femi Adesina. He's my guest on today's program. Are you welcome to the program?
Thank you, my pleasure. Compliments of the season.
Yes, so it's a pleasure having you on Hot Seats. Of course, the man that has been on Hot Seats since 2015, so we have a whole lot. Yeah, you also be part of the program once it's time. You also have, you can weigh in your opinions, but not now. Before then, let's me quickly reel out his profile, as we always do. Femi Adesina is a Nigerian journalist who serves as a special advisor on media and publicity to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari. Adesina attended Obafemi Awolowo University, Osun State, and then he was at Lagos Business School. Femi Adesina started his career in journalism as a writer for Radio Lagos. He then later joined Vanguard newspapers. Adesina wrote for Vanguard newspapers and National Concord newspapers before joining the Sun newspaper, where he rose to editor-in-chief. He also served a 2-year term as president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, although re-elected for a second term as Guild president. Adesina stepped down after receiving his government appointment. He also stepped down as editor-in-chief of the Sun. Adesina was sworn in as special advisor on media and publicity to Buhari on August 31st, 2015. So, welcome to the program once again.
Thank you.
Anyways, before we go deep into discussion, which will be anchored on national issues, let's just start from the scratch. You know, how it all started, what drew you to journalism.
Thank you. I'll say I grew up in a family that was quite literary. In fact, in our family, of us 7 children, only one took to science, and he is a medical doctor today, consultant. But all the other 6 of us took to the arts, quite literally. Our father was a school principal. Mother was also a classroom teacher. So you imagine being brought up by 2 teachers in the early 60s. It was books and books and books everywhere in the house. So we grew up reading. And sometime in the course of secondary school, I remember my teachers would always tell me, you will either be a journalist or a lawyer. I didn't know what they saw, but not one, not 2, not 3 of my teachers said it over the course of the years in secondary school. So eventually, because we hail from Iketumudi, is just about 9 kilometers from Ileife. All of us attended the then University of Ife, which became Obafemi Awolowo University later. They didn't offer journalism then. The last time I met the VC about 2 years ago, he told me they were going to start media studies. But then the closest thing to journalism then I could study was English, which I did, finishing in 86, and then I went straight into journalism. I served at the Lagos State Television as a current affairs officer. From there I went to work in Radio Lagos also as a current affairs officer. And like that, to Vanguard, to Concord, to Tribune, to Sun. And in the course of all that I did many journalism trainings, both locally and internationally, up to 2015, when I was appointed special advisor to the president of media.
Okay, so like I said, you've been on the hot seats since 2015. I could recall that the former special advisor on media publicity to Goodluck Jonathan, former president, in 2016 wrote a piece. And he said, demons. He talked about demons. You should remember that piece, that many Nigerians discountenanced that. I mean, he looked at it from the spiritual angle. talked about the fact that almost everyone experienced evil and that these demons, in one way or the other, affected decision making at the highest level. Uh, you've been in the House of Rock
Yes, I
since
remember that piece
2015.
that Ruben did, and I did a counter piece a week after his own. His own was titled The Spiritual Side of Hassel Rock, and I titled my own The Unspiritual Side of Hassel Rock. And what I was trying to explain to him and to readers was that all the things that Dr. Abati mentioned as happening in Hassel Villa also happen outside the villa. So they are not peculiar to the villa. They are things that are peculiar to man. So we can't say they happen just in the villa. They also happen outside the villa. So the villa is not immune to the things that happen in society. That was the point I was trying to make.
But Mr. Femi Adesina, how hot is that seat? Because of course every time you have to come out to defend the president, and the impression out there is the president not doing enough.
Well, impression is not necessarily the reality. And before you can say that is the impression, you must do a scientific study, which you have not done.
I'm a journalist.
Yes, I know, but there is also precision journalism, which will give you facts and figures and statistics. You have not done that. And if the president was not doing enough, he wouldn't have been re-elected with higher votes in 2019 than even in 2015. So it shows you that the president has the endorsement of the larger number of Nigerians, because one, he was re-elected, and two, he was re-elected with higher votes than he scored in 2015. So that claim may not be scientific.
Now, of course, recently, United States added Nigeria to religious or freedom blacklist, and that could pave the way for potential sanctions. Yes, you came out to discountenance that, saying it was wrong, looking at what's obtainable in the country. But what are we also doing to ensure that we leave that list?
Well, already that has been explained, because at times when those decisions are taken, they don't have all the facts, they don't have all the information. And the federal government has come with facts and information which will inform the opinion and decision of the United States of America. The onus is on them to know that their decision was based on insufficient facts, and the onus is on them to reverse it.
Mr. Adesina, let's talk about the economy. Yes, the economy has plunged into recession, no thanks to coronavirus, pandemic. I could recall that the Minister of Finance said first quarter next year we should exit, a recession. But now we're talking about the second wave of coronavirus. How feasible is this?
It makes things a bit difficult. I'll recall that in 2016 the Nigerian economy had gone into recession, but it lasted only 1 year in recession and came out. What that is telling us is that the fundamentals of the economy are very strong. Because as at then there were countries that went into recession and they were there for 5, 7, 10 years and didn't come out. Nigerian economy went into recession and stayed there for only 1 year and came out. It's giving us a picture of an economy with strong fundamentals. Now, due to COVID-2019, this year the economy contracted in the first 3 quarters and so technically went into recession. The finance minister said, if we don't come out of that recession in the 4th quarter, which is the quarter we are about ending, then we will come out most likely in the 1st quarter of next year. That was before the second wave started. If the second wave will last longer than maybe the first one, it will cause a lot of problems for the Nigerian economy. Some people have been mulling another lockdown, but the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has said there will not be another lockdown. Most of governors in the state say there will no longer be another lockdown because the economy may not survive a second lockdown.
But we're talking about the well-being of the people.
Yes.
And now it's worrisome looking at the daily rise in cases of the pandemic.
Yes. There is what is called the balance between lives and livelihood. Nigeria will need to balance lives and livelihood. It's very important that we preserve lives. It's also very important that we preserve livelihood. And livelihood will be preserved when the economy is running. If you shut down the economy again, I think the livelihood of majority of Nigerians will be affected. So the onus now is on the people themselves to balance lives and livelihood, not just the government. You know, a lot of people live as if COVID was gone. A lot of people also live as if COVID was for the upper class. It was for the rich. They will just say, well, it doesn't affect us. It doesn't touch us. It's for them. There's nothing like that. There's no we and them in this matter at all. So it is the onus is on everybody to be very careful and live carefully.
But how prepared are we for this second wave? Yes, you are not the Minister of Health, but as the presidential spokesperson, you definitely know a little about everything.
But the interesting thing is that we were not even prepared for the first wave. We were not prepared for the first wave. Nigeria had all the deficits you can talk about in the health sector. You know, there was even a projection that Africa was going to be littered with corpses.
Yes, by Melinda Gates.
Yes, and it didn't happen because God decided to have mercy on us. In Yoruba, there's a proverb that the cow that does not have tail, it is God that helps you to drive away flies. God just decided to help Africa and help Nigeria particularly. So the first wave, we were not even ready. But happily, during that first wave, we developed some capacities in terms of training, in terms of equipment, in terms of health infrastructure. Those capacities are going to remain with us. They are going to stay with us. And they will be useful to the country during the second wave. Remember all the isolation centers that were built and equipped. At a point, they were shut down. If the second wave is going to be quite virulent, they will reopen those isolation centers. And they can be useful to Nigerians. Therefore, I think for the second wave, we may be a bit better off in terms of manpower, in terms of the quality of that manpower, because they have learned, they have gone through a tutelage on handling the first wave, and then in terms of equipment, we have those isolation centers that have been equipped, which can be available to Nigeria. But we just pray that one, the second wave will not be virulent. It doesn't look good because since the second wave began, see what has been happening, particularly to people of name and reputation. It's not that it's not happening at the lower rung of the ladder. It's happening, but we don't hear of it because they are not people with name and reputation. We hear of people who are high net worth people that get affected. But even at the bottom rung of the ladder, they get affected equally. So the challenge is for us to live carefully. Let's not behave as if COVID was gone. It's not gone.
But doesn't this point to poor healthcare system? And you also agreed. You also agreed that we were not ready. You know, first wave in quotes, that we were not ready for that.
Poor healthcare system is a reality with us. It's a reality. In fact, infrastructure deficit is a reality with Nigeria. Whether physical infrastructure, whether educational, whether healthcare, we don't have it. We are just developing it. When this administration came to power, you remember that one thing the president would always say was that Nigeria had serious infrastructure deficit and that he is determined to reverse some of them. He can only go as far as resources will allow, and he can only go as far as time will allow. By 2023, God's grace, he will finish. It's a continuous thing. It's work in progress. It's for succeeding governments to continue.
Mr. Adesina, some Nigerians are not comfortable with the pace. I could recall when this administration came on board, months after, people complained about the fact that President Buhari was slow, in doing certain things.
Slow and steady. I'm sure that is a saying that is almost as old as time. Slow and steady wins the race. There's another saying that easy does it, they stumble, they run fast. Which is better, for him to be slow, methodical, painstaking, and will get things right, or to be in a hurry and then we stumble and everything crashes? With the kind of situation he met, with the kind of country he inherited, he needed to be methodical, and that is what he's been doing.
But he knew this when he was campaigning.
He didn't know
he knew. He didn't know the extent.
He said it himself. He said when he got inaugurated and he called the central bank government, where's the money? There was nothing in the treasury. He asked the governor, what did we buy? That one said we bought food and we bought petrol. He said he didn't believe it because there was absolutely nothing in the treasury. In fact, he said he almost bolted when he saw the reality. So the picture he had before he became president was not what he met on ground. It was worse.
And I could remember that during the first time, when Nigerians were used to the presidency, talking about the extravagance of his predecessor, basically. And at some point, it was boring because people said, yes, you are there now.
Yes.
Then you should kickstart and let's see what you could do.
But do they also realize that when he came in, oil prices dropped from $143 per barrel to as low as $27 per barrel? What do you do? Money answers all things. That's what the scripture says. When there's no money, what do you do? Because we should have had a healthy reserve we didn't have. How much was inherited in foreign reserve? I think it was 29.6 billion. When the same oil-producing countries like Qatar, like Saudi Arabia had in excess of 300 billion, 400 billion in their reserves. We had just 29.6 billion. The federal accounts emptied, excess crude account empty. There was nothing to build on. So it was quite natural that Nigerians needed to be kept abreast with the state of the economy, particularly the treasury at that time.
But some economists are also not comfortable with certain policies. Okay, let me talk about the border closure. For instance, but some financial experts believe that the closure of the land borders, contributed somehow to this recession.
Okay, let me talk about economists first. Very respectable people, good people, who will help a country develop. But one thing about economists is that they never agree. All of them never agree. It depends on the school of economics they belong to. There are some who have a certain school, they believe it should be done this way. You meet some who will say, no, it should be done that way. Economists never always agree about every policy. They have their different persuasions and different opinions. There are those who believe that, yes, that border closure was necessary when it was done. And when it was time to review, it was reviewed. I was with the president in UK when the Ghanaian president met with him and pleaded, please open your borders. The president told him, from our neighbors, things coming, when the customs will check, they will see hard drugs, they will see ammunition, they will see arms, and then they will see a lot of smuggled food products. While we are trying to encourage and empower our farmers locally, there was the need to just close that border at that time. And after it has served its purpose,
it appears that the recession made presidency to have a rethink on the closure of the border.
No, you can't just guess. Realities determine policies. It was felt that the point had been made. Two reasons. The president himself has spoken about it. One, the point had been made that Nigeria will not brook the smuggling of different kinds of products, including drugs, arms and ammunition, and smuggled food products into her territory. And two, which he said just last week when he received the delegation going to Niger for the elections, which I think we'll hold tomorrow. He said life became too difficult for our neighbors, and that was why he reviewed the border closure.
But Mr. Adesina, during the border closure, some of these products, still came in, but maybe at a reduced rate, anyways.
Yes. That shows you the kind of country we live in. A country that will always circumvent rules. It's the people that make up the country. They are the ones smuggling the products. So, it's not government's fault. Rather, it's the fault of the people still finding ways to circumvent rules. Otherwise, closure of the border should effectively have shut the space to all those smuggled items. But they were still trying to bring them in one way or the other, not at the same extent they did before the border closed.
But I mean, having put the blame on the people, don't you think they also put the blame on the government for ensuring for that laxity, kind of?
No government, particularly in Nigeria, as of now, I don't know of the future, can effectively man our borders. The president said last week that
the president said it.
He said it. He said the border between Nigeria and Niger Republic alone is 1,400 kilometers. Between Nigeria and Niger Republic alone, 1,400 meters. Said they can cross through camels, they can cross on foot, they can cross through motorcycles. You just have a border post. What happens to the 1,399 kilometers where you don't have a border post? They will have a field day coming in and going out. So you can't just say it is the fault of government. The next thing to do is to build walls, like Trump wanted to build across Mexico. Maybe Nigeria should build walls.
Away from the walls, United States, of course, makes use of technology.
Sure.
To man these borders.
Sure.
Building walls may not be realistic for us, may be too expensive. But what about technology? Because the onus lies on the government.
Yes, we use technology up to an extent. If you ask the immigration, they will tell you the technology they deploy to ensure that those borders are not as porous as they could have been. But the reality is that those borders are there open. And like the president said, only God can effectively supervise Nigerian borders. But government will do its bit, and it's an incremental thing. This government will do what it can do, another government will come and it will build on it. It's incremental, and one day maybe we'll get it.
Even though some Nigerians didn't like that statement,
Well, that's the reality.
The statement that came from the president that only God.
But it is true for now.
But of course, God will do his own part, but the government also.
It is true for now. One thing you need to know about Mr. President is that he's a straight talker. He doesn't talk tongue in cheek. He will say it the way it is, and that is the reality.
But now that the land borders are open, won't that give the smugglers leeway just to come? Or what have we done? Or what have we done to stem the tide of smuggling?
When they come in through official borders, they will still be checked.
How about the unofficial borders?
Well,
many unofficial borders.
It's a reality that Nigeria lives with for now. And let's just hope that one day we'll get to a point where we can effectively and efficiently man those borders through technology.
But what we're doing, we definitely ensure that in the future. I just hope we're doing enough.
Well, hopefully, customs, immigration, and whatever other agencies are there are empowered to do whatever they need to do. But then we know that the vastness of the border is so much that it will go beyond their capacity. But they will do what they can do.
Okay, Mr. Femi Adesina. Now let's talk about insecurity. I know that of course, it's very key. The safety of lives, and property. I could recall at some point we're saying Boko Haram had been degraded, but now with the situation of things, I don't think we can say that unequivocally. Yes, the soldiers are doing their best, even though to some people it's definitely not enough. The fact that we've not been able to stem the tide of insurgency or terrorism.
The insecurity in the country is in several phases. You have insurgency, you have banditry, you have kidnapping, you have armed robbery, you even have border clashes and all that. So the insecurity in the country is across many strata.
Well, it seems to be more problematic now. Now we're talking about kidnapping, talking about banditry.
Yes.
Before it seemed it was just Boko Haram. Now more than Boko Haram.
Yes, and it's not peculiar to Nigeria. If you look at the Sahel belt of Africa, from Mauritania to Burkina Faso to Central African Republic to Mali to Niger to Nigeria to Chad, we find that the same thing are peculiar to this country. Both the combination of terrorism, insurgency, and banditry. They are peculiar to all the countries of the Sahel. The president has said it many times, people try to make jest of it, that when Gaddafi held sway in Libya for 42 years, he recruited gunmen from all these countries to keep himself in power. And when eventually, I think it was October 2010, they were able to get rid of Gaddafi, all those gunmen that he had recruited across the Sahel fled with their arms and ammunition. And the only thing they had learned to do was to shoot and kill. They didn't learn any other trade. And they are wreaking havoc all over the Sahel today. So until you are able to neutralize all those gunmen, the challenge will remain peculiar to all the countries of the Sahel. We hear of Nigeria because it's our country and it is where we live. If you hear of things going on in all these other countries of the Sahel, it will daze you. So it's a serious, serious challenge that I believe that one day we will get to the bottom of.
A statement was attributed to you that the Nigerians should be happy. Bombings are now happen once in a few days.
You need to know what exactly I said and compare it with the twisted one you have just quoted. And the challenge I'll give you is that if you go to YouTube, my full interview is there. Listen to it.
Yes, on Channels TV.
Yes.
I'm talking about what's out there.
No, you can't talk about talk about what's out there. Talk of the original.
Are you saying you were misquoted?
Talk of the original. That interview is available. Please listen to it and then make up your own mind. I am not going to explain what I have said again. I've said it. I stand by every word I said. If anybody wants to twist it, good luck to that person.
Well, Mr. Adesina, we're still on insecurity. Like I said earlier, that it's more problematic now. Kidnappings, banditry have also joined the fray. I could recall that at one point, the Chadian president came with his soldiers, and I mean, the impression they gave was they dealt with Boko Haram, that our own soldiers would just go there and flush them out. And as some were happy, Nigerians were happy that at last there will be an end to insurgency. I could remember that Tuka Brutai said at that time that he wouldn't leave the northeast until we were able to flush Boko Haram. But that does not seem to be the case. Yeah. Why is it such a conundrum?
You need to also make a distinction between what was happening in the northeast before now and what is happening now. When this administration came in 2015, minimum of 17 local governments were under the control of Boko Haram. When I say they were under the control, they were running the local government headquarters. Even the palaces of the emir, they were sitting on the emir's stool. The emirs had fled. They were collecting taxes and tolls. They had flags in those places which they had declared a caliphate. 17. And then this administration came and drove them away, flushed them out. Even their spiritual headquarters, the Sambisa forest, they took it away from them. So they scattered all over the place. If you are going to be honest with yourself, the state of the insurgency pre-2015 is not the same state today. It is those who live in the northeast who can tell you the difference. Those who live in Bono, those who live in Yobe, those who live in Adamawa, which were the epicenter of that insurgency, they will tell you the difference. Yes, the challenge is not over. But when the government said the thing was degraded. That is the right word used by the military. Because this was a force that will hold territories. Can they hold territories today? No. That's degrading. They don't hold a single territory in the country today. And they were holding 17 local governments at a point. So, if we want to be honest with ourselves, a lot of strides have been made in the insurgency war. But is it over? No, it's not over. It's not over. Until that insurgency is decapitated, it will not be over. If you remember the Tamil Tigers in Sri Lanka, that insurgency lasted for 28 years. And until the leader of that terrorism was killed one day, it didn't end. So also will it be that until we make a final work of Boko Haram in Nigeria, it may not be over. But will that day come? I believe it.
But there have been talks of having mercenaries, at that level to help the military.
Talks. But has the president acceded to it? Remember that before the president got to power in 2015, he had spoken against mercenaries because mercenaries were being used there. He said Nigerian army that went to Burma war, that went to Congo, that went to Sierra Leone, that went to Liberia, and they did exceptionally well. How come they will not be able to secure their own country? He talked against having mercenaries in this land there. And it is an idea brought forward now, but you have not had a president on it. Of course, you can't have mercenaries in the country without the president signing off on it. So, it's not a policy of the Buhari administration yet, and I doubt if it will ever be.
But what about foreign supports? Because I can remember that
legitimate.
In the predecessor, former president, at some point wanted to get some weapons, which Obama, former president of the United States,
America blocked it. No,
America blocked it.
Yes.
U.S. presidency then blocked it. In
Yes.
fact, wanted to also get from Israel.
Yes.
It was also blocked, too. Yet it seems we've enjoyed some support, from Trump, talking about the Tucano and all that. So, but even away from the supports, potential support from the United States, generally, how has been foreign support?
Yeah, foreign support is legitimate. You can ask for it, and you can get it. So far, so good. It's a security thing that I may not be completely privy to. Even if I'm privy to it, I may not say it because you don't disclose some security secrets. But in terms of seeking foreign support, very legitimate. Let me cite this example. An American national was abducted recently and brought to Nigerian territory. American, I think they are Navy SEALs, I think that's the force that came, wanted to rescue that man. They couldn't have done it without the authorization of the Nigerian president. And the president gave the go-ahead for them to operate on Nigerian territory. And they rescued them.
But why couldn't we rescue the man? Instead, yes. How many?
Do you know what was deployed to rescue that man? Do you know for how long America tracked Osama bin Laden before they eventually killed him in Abbottabad? Do you know for how long? Do you know the technology? You recall that when Osama bin Laden was taken out, there was even a live video of it. Obama, Clinton, the wife who was foreign secretary of state, they were watching. You remember the point at which they shot him and the woman closed her eyes. It shows you that it was a carefully planned exercise over years before they got it done. So it depends on what is available to you in terms of technology, in terms of technical competence, in terms of human capacity and all that. You can't compare Nigeria to America in those areas.
But I hope we also doing enough to ensure that, okay, for example, we talk about weaponry now.
Yes.
We talk how sophisticated are these weapons. Because few times even some soldiers criticized their operation, and we know that it's a known fact. How equipped are they?
It's something that President Buhari has tried to reverse. When this administration came, I think there were just about 3 serviceable aircraft in the fleet of the Nigerian Air Force. As of today, they have 23. 23. 2 days ago, the president inaugurated 2 different kinds of attack helicopters into the armory of the Nigerian Air Force. So it's a progressive thing, from 3 serviceable to 23. And then 2 more attack helicopters were inaugurated just on Thursday. So if you neglect your military over the years, whatever you sow is what you reap. Over the years, the Nigerian military was neglected. Even funds that were made available for their re-equipping and operations were diverted. So the president had to start all over again. And we can see the result now. The Apache helicopters have come, and then the Tucano is on the way. Yes. Yes. The president was, fortunately I was there with him. He met with those manufacturing the Tucano. They gave him an update.
So there was reports then in the media that we didn't have what it takes, to receive the Tucano.
Yes, because he's very technical. In fact, at a point, they have sent some of our Air Force people to undergo training on how to run the Tucano. Otherwise, the Tucano will come and nobody can operate it. In fact, there are some equipment that come into the country now. They can't deploy immediately because they have to send our troops for training, Air Force, Army, for them to use those equipment.
So can we now rejoice by the time we see the Tucano, looking at how sophisticated the Tucano jet is?
Yeah, but like I just said now, some of our people have been sent for training on how to use the Tucano. Yeah.
But couldn't just call for help, United States, and how sophisticated they are. Of course, we know how they came into our territory to rescue an American, but it doesn't seem look as if we need their help. It's more than giving us equipment.
We do.
Perhaps we could come into our territory and help.
So how different would that be from using mercenaries? But in terms of training, in terms of technical cooperation, it's happening. It's happening. These are security things that we can't talk too much about. But I can confidently tell you that in terms of improving the capacities of our military, a lot of foreign countries do things for us.
And one thing aspect that in this consistent call, a kind of call that the service chiefs, should be dismissed. Because the fact that we've not put an end to insurgency, and they are saying, well, saying the buck stops at their desk. What are they doing? Don't you think we need to rejig, the system? Bring in some people, perhaps they will come with fresh ideas.
Okay, let me start with an aside. You know that some people like to see people dismissed. Not just talking of service chiefs now. They just like to see people fall from positions they are holding.
Is it about seeing people fall?
You ask your question, let me answer. They just like to see people fall from their perch. They rejoice. Aha! It's no longer there. As if they are the ones that will go there. Generally, you see that in our society. Now, to talk directly about the service chiefs. A commander-in-chief is the one that has the prerogative to appoint service chiefs, and he also has the prerogative to remove them. Nobody else has it. Nobody else. Other people can have their say, like they are having now, but the commander-in-chief will have his way. He will have his way. Other people can have their say, and they are having that say now. But it's the commander-in-chief that will have his way. He is the one that can assess them. The teacher that teaches you is the one that can assess your exam script, because he knows what he has taught you and he knows what you should deliver back to him. If he marks it and he thinks you have done well, then you are passed. But if you have not done well, you have failed. The commander-in-chief is the one who can assess the service chiefs. The president has spoken many times about their performance, says he feels they can do better. But if he decides to keep them, it is his prerogative, because he's the one that appointed them. If I can quote scripture, He says, who are you that judges another man's servant? It is before his master that he rises or falls. So, it's the president that can judge.
Of course,
the
it's the president.
Yes.
You know, like, we can always advise.
Yes.
And
Yes.
in a democratic setting, you know, we can assess. The media can assess
Yes.
and say, have they done enough?
Yes.
Are they doing enough?
Yes.
And they can advise the president.
And they have been having their say. But president will have his way. Yes. That is the position he
Well, many journalists do not envy you. Looking at your position, you just have to defend the policies, you have to defend the president.
Yes.
If you were not
because I believe in him.
If you are not a special advisor,
Yes.
don't you think would be a critic?
No. If I was not a special advisor, wherever Buhari is concerned, I would support it. I've always supported it. Right from when he emerged on national scene in 1984. I had always... Yeah. Oh! I work with him daily. I know. There's no perfect government. No perfect government.
You were not a special advisor.
Yes.
And you said you still support him.
I will support him because I've always admired him.
You would be biased.
No, I've always admired
Because as a
him.
journalist, you
I
meant to
can
look from-
criticize constructively. I can offer opinions, but I will not seek to destroy his government. I will never seek that because I've always admired him. Right from when he led us as a military leader, I had always believed he was good for Nigeria. In fact, it's a regret till tomorrow that regime did not last more than 20 months it lasted. If that government had lasted, like Babangida that came, lasted 8 years, if Buhari Diagbon had lasted that long, Nigeria would not be in the sorry state it is today. Any day. I've written that I can follow him blindfolded into war. That's it. I admire him and I will always follow him. I'm not saying he's perfect, no man is, but wherever the shortcomings are. And the president is somebody, when you talk, okay, let me tell you this. The very first day I resumed on the job, June 1, 2015, he told me, he said, Adesina, what I want from you is to tell me the truth. He said, I'm a general, I can argue, but please argue with me. If you argue with me and you give me superior facts and information, I then will do what you have to advise me to do. So that is it. He is not a perfect person, but when you show him that this is better done this way because of this and this and this, he will listen to it.
Because I know there was this accusation then that there was a cabal, somewhere. So, but people close to him also, are they speaking truth, to power?
I can talk of myself. I can talk of myself. If I need to say anything to the president, I either go to see him in the office or go to see him in the house, and I will tell him. There was a time there was talk of hunger. I went to see him at home that night, and I said, Mr. President, there is this talk of hunger across the world. He said, I know.
There's still talk of hunger?
Yes.
There's still talk of hunger.
Things are a lot better now because you have locally produced products. You have rice, you have maize, you have beans. Things are far better than they were 3-4 years ago. Then,
but not cheap.
That is another angle I introduced. But let me finish the point I'm trying to make. Before he empowered local rice farmers, for instance, and you had that product so much in the land, there was that talk, hunger. And then I went to see him and I said, Mr. President, this is like a sing-song in the country, hunger. He said, yes, I'm aware. He said, I have a constituency. I come from a constituency. And I still keep in touch with people from my constituency. I know what they are saying. So it's not as if it's now. He said, I know what they are saying. And he said, you know what we meant. And you know what we have been doing. And he said, now that we are here, we will try to make a difference. And that's what we have been doing.
Nigeria overtook India in 2018 as the poverty capital of the world. Unwanted ranking, but it's what it is.
Statistics.
Yes.
Statistics don't necessarily mean reality at times.
According to poverty clock?
Well, statistics.
Brookings Institute?
What you need to know where Nigeria was in 2012. That same poverty club in 2012. Far worse than the one that came.
But in
back.
2012, we were not the poverty capital. In 2018, we were
it's
a
matter of semantics. It's a matter of
you know,
semantics.
it seems to me that okay, when the statistics favor us, we will celebrate.
That is why we should not swallow.
Not favor us. We say it's not.
No, that is why.
With reality.
That is why we should not swallow statistics. We should just face what we are doing.
But we need statistics.
Or for planning. Yes, we need statistics for planning. But don't let foreign generated statistics be a discourager to you. Just do what you're doing. Focus on it and resolve to change the situation of your people. That is what this administration is doing.
Well, of course, my guest has been the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina. You can also join the conversation on Facebook at Ogun TV, also on Twitter at Ogun TV, on Facebook Ogun TV. You can join the conversation, and the number will appear on your screen shortly, where you can also call. Of course, you may have one or two questions you want to ask him. Why not? Call us and let's hear you. The presidential spokesperson is here live, so I will definitely listen to you. The number is there on your screen, so we're expecting your call. Yes, Mr. Femi Adesina, you take me back, to the economy. Now let's talk about inflation. There may be availability of products, of food items, but if it's high, if the cost is high, then people will definitely complain because it's available, but they can't get it.
Yes. You know that there was a time that inflation under this administration was about 17% or something. At a point, inflation was...
Okay, sorry, it seems... good morning. Hello, good morning. Your name? Where are you calling us from?
My name is Shehu Olurogbe.
Okay, Shehu Olurogbe from where?
I'm calling you from Ogun State.
Okay.
I'm
Okay, thanks for calling. Yes, the presidential spokesperson is here live. Any question?
Good morning, sir.
I want to ask concerning this issue of insurgency, and there are some other promises the president made to Nigerians during this ugly health issues. The question is, how do this insurgency started one day, and as of today, we are not seeing how to unravel it completely. We need to continuous against the because I was talking that in a scenario where if we stop it, will the military allow it? Because there are a lot of money that are being released for this purpose. So I was like perceiving the military interest of the concerned government formation, secret formation that are fighting it. They give us theory defeat every time. The next thing we will see a very sudden attack. So I think the government needs to see how they will carry us along and see how to put ourselves, because I'm a coach.
Okay, well, thank you. Please make your questions very brief because others also wants to weigh in and on our discussion on this program. Okay, maybe before you answer that question, let's take this breather. My guest has been the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina. Before we went on that break, Mr. Olurogbe called, and of course, I made his points. You want to respond to that before I pick another call?
Yes, he was trying to say that some elements in the military may likely be interested in prolonging the insurgency war because of money they can make. That will quite be unconscionable if it happens. Our military is professional, and I don't think they will do that. Like the president has always said, this is the military that has gone to Burma, that has gone to Congo, that has gone to Sierra Leone, that has gone to Liberia, and that has excelled in all those places. I don't think any element in the military would therefore be prolonging the insurgency war because of money they can make. I doubt.
Yes, you heard him right. Okay, another caller. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you calling us from? Good morning. We can hear you loud and clear. Yes, we are on to OGTV. Okay, Kotopo Estates. Okay. Yes.
I want to first explain this the special advisor to the chairman of the
Yes. He can hear you.
So I want to tell my family this Femi Adesina, the special advisor to the president of Media and Publicity. You see, we are trying to concentrate the precious people. The only thing I'm saying for now, the president is not going to say that this presidency is good. Let me start with special advisor. We don't want to do now. By hand, we want to do these things that they sabotage to the ministry. Is that the people who keep run at this good morning.
Okay, thank you. That was very brief. You said, don't you think there's sabotage, in the military?
Well, in every endeavor, every human endeavor, you can't rule out sabotage. You cannot rule it out. But then, do we have evidence that there is sabotage in the military? Before we can make such claims, we must have evidence. And if you bring evidence and the military authorities, including the commander-in-chief, don't deal with that, then it will be a problem. But anybody can just sit back and make allegations, unless you back it up with facts. It will be difficult to
another caller. Good morning. Lower the volume of your TV set. Okay, we can hear you now. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Your name?
I love hearing from my table advisor to our great president.
Thank you, sir.
I can read from the TV that Boko Haram attacked the villages with the land trust. How come about that?
Okay, the Boko Haram attacked the village. We said it, that the insurgency was not over. It is not in the same magnitude as it used to be, but it's not over. Anybody that tells you it's over is not telling you the truth, because you still have sporadic attacks. Until those sporadic attacks are brought to an end, it's not over.
And that will take us to Kankara schoolboys that were abducted. Yes, they were rescued. But looking at that operation, conflicts of information kind of, because from what the governor said at some point, from what the military said, that there was no negotiation and they were equal to that task.
The truth about Kankara is that government responded fast and there was interagency cooperation. There will always be. Was a shot fired? No, a shot was not fired. And some people were holding them. If there was no negotiation, how were they released?
And in terms of any ransom?
Oh, well, so far, those who have spoken, who were close to it, have not spoken of a ransom. But even if there was ransom, let me remind Nigerians what the president said in 2015 when he came and the majority of the Chibok girls were still being held. He said, if it means paying, you will pay to get the girls back. The president is on record as having said that. So, whether ransom was paid or not is not the issue. What is the issue is that those boys, over 300 of them, came back intact. Not a single hair was missing from their heads. They came back.
But what's the assurance that this won't happen again?
We just pray and hope. There is this Safe School initiative that was launched, in which security surveillance will be mounted in schools. But short of putting soldiers on every inch of soil in Nigeria, you cannot guarantee that certain things will not happen until there is a conclusive end to banditry, to insurgency, and to insecurity generally.
Another caller. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. We can hear you. Your name? From where? Please lower the volume of your TV set. Please, so that, yes. Okay. Now, go ahead.
I want you to thank me to
Thank you, sir.
Then my question is to that one.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
My question is to that one.
Yes, he can hear you. Go ahead.
So, at that time, the constitutional draft program, when it was introduced, but it's important to us that we didn't see the end successfully. For this that people are just sick to random. So the telling us some things that we have introduced it to them, we could not even be confident to find that place. You understand? Because people will ask you questions that we introduced them to this program, but we didn't see any successful return. Everything happened with this population idea. We don't see any single person that getting that opportunity to declare that no account. So, highly disappointed to us.
Many thanks. If we respond to that, please, many callers, let your question be very, very brief so that I can acknowledge more calls.
Was he trying to say that there were no beneficiaries of the trader money?
Maybe talking about low beneficiaries, that not every trader benefited from that initiative.
Yeah, but it's still continuing. And it's done in consonance with the Bank of Industry. So, it's a running project. It continues. And a lot of beneficiaries have testimonies from the trader money. There was an anniversary a year or two ago when a number of them were brought in to the villa to testify of how they got it. They didn't know anybody, and they got it. And they had testimonies of what they have been able to do with it. So the project continues. But of course, there are 200 million of us.
Yes.
In fact, the latest figure says we have 207 million now. So not everybody will be served in that kind of project. But lives have been touched.
But I think away from that, people also want infrastructure. For example, if there is regular power supply, that trader, that barber won't be spending so much, on fuel, for instance. So people are also looking at that. I'm
glad you talked about infrastructure, which will include power. By the time this government finishes, God's grace, 2023, one of the greatest successes that will be recorded in its favor will be in the area of infrastructure. Excuse me. It will be in the area of infrastructure. Roads, rail, airports, bridges, power, and all that. It will be recorded in favor of this government.
Are you asking about the power distribution?
Yes, we have this agreement with Siemens of Germany, which will provide incremental power. The first target is 10,000 megawatts. From there, I think it goes to either 15 or 20,000 megawatts, and by 2025, we will have 25,000 megawatts. Is an MOU that has been signed with Siemens of Germany. We'll get there.
By 2025,
25,000 megawatts.
25,000 megawatts. Yes. It's not even up to what is rated in South Africa.
South Africa, the last I knew, had about 45,000
megawatts.
Yes,
45,000 megawatts.
Yes.
And now we're talking about 2025.
Nigeria as a country had never done above 5,000 megawatts. as a country, right from ECN days.
Because my fear is, or my concern, we've always been having these MOUs, and at the end of the day, didn't materialize. I just hope that by 2025, like you said, 25,000 megawatts. And another question, will it be enough for 20?
No, it's a place to start.
It's a place to start.
Yes.
Okay, another caller. Good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, your name and where you calling us from?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, we can hear you.
I want to commend Mr. Adesina.
What's your name?
For all his effort in trying to answer your questions. My name is Latif.
Latif, from
I'm
where?
speaking from Ota.
Oh, from Ota. Okay. Go ahead.
From Ota. Please, my own concern. Yes. My own concern is on the issue of metering. Metering. I paid for a meter, a prepaid meter, since 2017.
Go ahead.
Since 2017. And up till today, I have not been issued. And I was very happy.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I think I can hazard a guess on the question you was about to ask. A lot of people don't have meters. That was why when the latest tariff on electricity came out, the president said those who are not metered should not be subject to the new tariff. And he directed mass metering across the country. In other words, until you are metered, you will not pay the new tariff. That was the position. There is a body called NERC, National Electricity Regulatory Commission. They work with the DISCOs and the GENCOs. That person that spoke can get a response to his question from there. I may not have all the facts and figures. Yes, but we know that the president has said there must be mass metering across the country.
Okay. Okay. We still having calls, another caller. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Your name and where you calling us from?
My name is Comrade Dan Ola Adeyemi.
Okay, Comrade Adeyemi.
I'm coming from Lagos.
Okay, thanks for joining us.
I want to talk about what is happening, what these codes are doing that turn their companies to the total aspect. And I would like to brief the presidency if they can forward their email to me. I have the fact that I can send to them. In August, year 2017, this code illegally increased tariff. And we have evidence with us, which we can forward to presidency. In August 2017, they increased residential from 21 naira 30 kobo to 21 naira 80 kobo. And that is what they did to all their customers. Also, we have done some investigations how these codes run their services to their various customers. And we have this list, they are saying pick up and open.
Okay, well, many thanks, Comrade Adeyemi. Time is really fast. We're running out of time. So, like I said, please let your questions, be brief. But definitely
still on yes, I may not have the immediate answer.
Yes, it's understandable.
Yes, and Nigeria NERC, it has a public relations. I think they even have a portal. You can always take his concerns to that place.
Well, Mr. Adesina, let's talk about the structuring.
Yes.
Because it would be a disservice for us not to show the structuring. It has been on for some time now.
Yeah.
We have been calling for this. That is not high time. We sat down and let's have another policy. Let's look for ways to rejig the system. If this could all go well, for this nation.
Yes, I think it's a matter of semantics. APC as a party has in its manifesto what we call devolution of power. If you get an understanding of devolution of power, it's the same thing as restructuring. Same thing. It may not be the same word, but it's the same thing. The party even went ahead to set up a committee headed by the Kaduna State Governor, El Rufai, which worked out modalities for devolution of powers. That report has been submitted. I think what we should be asking for is let that report be implemented. Let it be implemented. Let the party accept it. Let it then be sent to the National Assembly for approval. But when restructuring comes with a babel of voices, if you ask this person what does restructuring mean to you, he says one thing. You ask the next person, he says another thing. You ask another person, he says
maybe
another thing.
let me go deep into certain things they'll be looking at.
Yeah.
For example, they're calling for more control of mineral resources. And the states, we all know that mineral resources are on the exclusive list, not on the concurrent list. They are saying if states have more control over their resources, it will be it will translate to vast development.
There's a policy of derivation in this country. That derivation, I think, started with, was it 2.5% under the military? 2.5%. Today, it is 13%. It's there. It's there. If they want the percentage raised, it's another thing. Do you know that the National Assembly can even do that? You don't need a roundtable discussion to effect that. It can be done.
But the president will still approve that.
Yes, yes, but if once the National Assembly, which is constituted of representatives of people.
Because they're talking about true federalism.
Yes.
That is not, of course, at the end of the month, states will go to Abuja to get, federal allocation. Without this federal allocation,
how many states are viable?
Many states cannot even function without the federal allocation.
Yes. So it counters your position again. If they can't function without federal allocation, then how will they survive if you now give them the kind of authority they want?
They
will still come begging.
Will translate into more money
for
the states.
No. How many states are viable? That's the question. How many states are viable and can stand on their own when it comes to that? Very few. Very few. A lot are not viable. In fact, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, the states will collapse. What do they generate now in terms of IGR? Go and check. You see that the states cannot stand on their own. I'm not saying that we don't have to tweak the structure of the country. We need to look at it. But let people not think it is what Yorubas will call Bobo. Let them not think that once you tweak the structure of the country, all the problems of the country are solved. It's not true. It's not true. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It is not. Yes, look at the structure for greater efficiency, but doesn't solve all problems.
But more control over resources, mineral resources, could increase the idea.
Very good. How many states have those resources in quantities that can make them survive?
Every state has one or two.
Really? And have they been prospected? No. It's not cheap to even prospect those resources. Are they able to?
How would they do that? It's not the concurrent list. It's not the concurrent list.
And I said even the National Assembly can correct that. They can.
Okay, another caller. Good morning.
Yes, I'm happy to be on.
Oh.
Thank you, Moses. Thank you, Moses.
Yes, we're happy to have you too.
I greet you, our indefatigable and amiable special advisor to Mr. President.
Thank you, sir.
Please, my special regards to Mr. President. My name is Kometaiwo, and Dobin is a man after my heart.
Thank you, Comrade.
People don't like it, They might not like it, they might not like, his spoken English. For me, I don't care. I love Mr. President.
Thank you.
Let me go straight to my point because of time. Mr. Femi Adesina, after the entire process, Mr. President ordered revenue mobilization committee to review the salary of police officers and other paramilitary. Can you imagine, up to this very point in time, it has not been done. They have flouted the order of Mr. President. I don't know whether you are aware of that. That is not good enough because the morale of these police officers are not boosted. We are talking that they are collecting bribe. Let their morale be boosted. Mr. Adesina, please, I want you to know this. And secondly, sir, talking about this free meter policy of Mr. President is a welcome development. We love it. But it seems as if this electricity distribution company, they are sabotaging the effort of Mr. President. Up to this very moment, that order has not been followed. They have floated that order too. I don't know why people are not taking Mr. President for granted. Is it because it's very soft, it's very lenient? I don't know. And lastly, Mr. Femi Adesina, please, I don't know whether you are aware that some people refer to Mr. President as to bring up to that. I don't know whether you are aware of that. How do you feel? And how does Mr. President feel when people refer to him as to bring up to that? We need to respect Mr. President. Mr. President is a man after my heart. My special regard to him. God bless you. I'm pleased with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, the first was you talked about some of the answers.
Yes.
The position with the answers demands and the response of the government is that some are immediate, some are medium term, and some are long term. The ones that are immediate have been done. For instance, you wanted SARS to be scrapped, it was done immediately. There were 5 demands. The ones that were immediate were done immediately. The ones that are medium term have been looked at, and the ones that are long term will still come. So, it is not something that will happen in one fell swoop. It never happens that way. So, the demands have been looked at. The second point was that mass metering has not been complied with. The meters have to become procured first. I think there is an order to bring in large numbers of meters, either bring into the country or produce them locally, but something is being done on that. When the meters are ready, the mass metering will commence. The third part of his question does not even, he didn't ask it as a question. He said that we are aware that it's in there.
Yes.
He doesn't even demand an answer. Some people say the person that went was not the person that came back. I'll tell you a story. The day the president came back, August 2017, I think, yes, August 2017, was the day the chief of defense staff, General Olusegun, was giving out his daughter in marriage. I went to attend that marriage, and I wore a cap, which I rarely wear. From there, I went to the airport to meet Mr. President. When he alighted from the plane, he began to shake his aides one by one, and he will have one wisecrack or the other to say to each person. When he got to me, he said, Adesina, this is the best I've seen you dressed. I've never seen you in Agbada and cap before. Now, if it was a different person that came, how will he know I was Adesina? How will he know that that was not my usual way of dressing? People, it doesn't make sense. I never respond to this. It's not worth responding to. But anybody that wants to believe that, good luck to you.
Well, many thanks, Mr. Femi Adesina. We could go on and on. There are so many questions because as our spokesperson, like I said, you know mostly too of everything. But time won't permit us. But I think you've been able to do justice to questions asked and even from the viewers, questions from the viewers, and also. So this is where we draw the curtain. So many thanks, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina. So best of luck in your
Thank
duty.
you. It's something I'm doing willingly and voluntarily. If it's a job, it's not worth it. But for me, it's a national assignment, and I'm willing to do it.
Okay. So this is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of the program. Well, it's been a special edition, but definitely we still repackage this and it will still come your way on Monday, the normal time of our program, Hot Seats on Ogun State Television. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now.